Oh, there we go. Welcome. Welcome to the beginning of the end. And the end is near. There's not much time left. So do what you gotta do. Before your time is up. What's up? What's up? God bless Maribel and the people in the background. You got his lordship. Let me see what this effect do. I'm playing with these effects. Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2, test, test. One, two, 1, 2. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I kind of like this right here. This sounds pretty cool. Can you hear me in the back? Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I left off at Law 14. So, for those of you, that are in the chat room, appreciate you coming through. I'm not going to bore you too much. I just wanted to finish the 22 laws. I got down to the last 8 laws of marketing, and I had to bounce. I was reading from the 22 immutable laws of marketing. I'm just going to brush through those last 8 laws so quick you won't even know what happened. I'm only going to read maybe less than a paragraph, 3, 4 sentences from each law that's left to talk about. These are the 22 immutable laws of marketing. Violate them at your own risk. The author was Al Ries, or Al Ries, R-I-E-S, and Jack Trout. And the book was actually written in 1993. That's when I copped it, and I was on my way to God knows where, when I used to be a jet setter. So I don't want to spook you any further. So let me get that spooky sound off. Well, I like to think it's a spiritual sound. Okay, we're going to get into, and I'm not a marketing expert. I just thought this book was interesting. And now that people are using YouTube and trying to have their own brand, and stuff like that, people like to say, I got my, I thought this information was still relevant to, having your own show, radio show, podcast, YouTube, whatever, Ustream, you name it. So if you want to know about the other 14 laws, you got to catch the other show, 2 shows back. So anyway, law number 15 is the law of candor. When you admit a negative, when you admit a negative, the prospect will give you a positive. Just like Listerine, it says, the taste you hate twice a day. See, they know it's nasty, but it's going to do something for you. So you admit that up front, and people may overlook that when they interested in your product. You can say, well, yeah, my mouth is bad. I am vulgar, but I do bring you information, or I am a nice person. I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I may be brass, but I am smart, or I love people. I don't know. So anyway, it goes against corporate and human nature to admit a problem. For years, the power of positive thinking has been drumming into us. Think Positive has been the subject of endless books and articles. So it may come to a surprise to you that one of the most effective ways to get into a prospect's mind is to first admit a negative and then twist it into a positive. Avis is only number 2 in rent-a-cars. With a name like Smuckers, it has to be good. The 1970 VW will stay uglier longer. It will stay ugly longer. That's funny. And Joy, the most expensive perfume in the world. So, what's going on here? Why does a dose of honesty work so well in the marketing process? Well, first and foremost, candor is very disarming. Every negative statement you make about yourself is instantly accepted as a truth. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay, and we're black. Sarquette is in the building, the goddess, and I'm just reading the last 8 immutable laws that were left over from the last show, and then we can get into other stuff, open topic, or we can, whatever you want to do. All right. So you have to prove a positive statement to the prospect's satisfaction. No proof is needed for a negative statement. The 1970 VW will stay ugly longer. A car that ugly must be reliable, thinks the prospect. And Joy, the most expensive perfume in the world, if people are willing to pay $375 an ounce, it must be sensational perfume. And with a name like Smuckers, it has to be good. Most companies, especially family companies, would never make fun of their own name, yet Smuckers family did, which is one of the reasons why Smuckers is, I can almost guess what they're going to say, but Smuckers is the number 1 brand of jams and jellies, at that time. So anyway, law number 16 is the law of singularity. In each situation, only one move will produce substantial results. So many marketing people see success in sum total of a lot of small efforts, beautifully executed. They think that they can pick and choose from a number of different strategies and still be successful as long as they put enough effort into the program. If they work for the leader in the category, they fritter away their resources on a number of different programs. They seem to think that the best way to grow is the puppy approach. Get into everything. If they're not with the leader, they often end up trying to do the same as the leader. So if they're not with the leader, they're always trying to do the same as the leader. And I didn't get a chance to pre-read this. I didn't read this. I read this, back in the 90s. So I haven't picked this up. It's just been on my shelf collecting dust. So, if they're not with the leader, they often try to do the same as the leader. You can see that in rap music and all this stuff. If gangster videos, if you got a bunch of girls in the video, you got Ciroc in the video, then the next dude gonna put the same stuff in his video, and then go turn around and complain, well, they don't play any videos without promoting thug life and gang life. They don't want to play those videos because nobody's making those videos. Nobody making the Arrested Development type of videos. If everybody was making Arrested Development type of videos, then BET would be forced to play those videos. But the people that sending them the videos is, they're not practicing the law of singularity. So anyway, whether you try hard or try easy, the differences are marginal. Furthermore, the bigger the company, the more the law of averages wipe out any real average of the trying harder approach. History teaches that the only thing that works in marketing is the single bold stroke. Furthermore, in any given situation, there is only one move that will produce substantial results. Indeed, very true. What's great about this book is it was written so long ago that you can see some of the things that they said come to fruition, about certain companies and things like that. So, because in the first time I read this book, and I went through 1 through 14, you can see where Microsoft went from point A and point B and what their plans were and how they followed through with those plans. By Microsoft being the go-to software to run ATMs and gas station pumps, people don't understand that. Before you could even use your credit card at the gas station, Microsoft was controlling the gas station pumps and the ATM, and then they canceled XP, which those machines run on XP, and then those companies have to pay a fee to continue to get XP service, even though the consumer cannot use XP anymore. You see, so they put it would be too expensive to update all the gas stations and ATMs to Microsoft 10. So they forever is going to get paid, with this game. So excuse me for smacking. This microphone is just, it picks up everything. Successful generals study the battleground and successful generals study the battleground and look for the one bold stroke that's least expected by the enemy. Now, that's very true. One day I was at the Heidelberg Castle in Germany, and I've been there twice, the city where the first Bible was printed. There was a castle where Napoleon had attacked, and they left the damage there for the tourists to see. Napoleon came up a broad side of a mountain with cannons. Nobody in their right mind thought he could get cannons up a broad side of a mountain. The castle was built strategically so you couldn't get to it. It's up on a hill, and then it has a broad side that nobody in their right mind would climb. Well, Napoleon came through and did what he had to do. So anyway, military strategist and author B.H. Liddell Hart calls the bold stroke the line of least expectation. The Allied invasion came at Normandy, a place whose tide and rocky shores the Germans felt would be unlikely choice for a landing of any scale. But so it is in marketing, most often there is only one place where the competitor is vulnerable, and that should be the focus of the entire invading force. So they go into other examples with the automobiles and Ford and Chevrolet and Pontiac and all this stuff, and that still applies to the same thing. Even they even talk about Hannibal. Hannibal came over the Alps, a route deemed impossible to scale. Hitler came around the Meurthe line and sent his panzer divisions through the Ardennes. I don't know how to pronounce that terrain. I guess it's French. The French generals thought it was impossible to traverse with tanks. And as a matter of fact, he did it twice, once in the Battle of France and again in the Battle of the Bulge. So anyway, that is the law of singularity. We're gonna skip past the rest of that because we want to wrap this baby up and move on to it. So number 17 is the law of unpredictability. You gave out pointers for my business. I took marketing, but never heard some of this stuff. Oh, cool. These guys have a different take on marketing, and they feel that just like you have the law of the law of gravity or something, or Newton's law. They felt that there's a law goes along with marketing that's immutable. So this is just their take on it, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and I think it's pretty valid. So the 17th law out of 22 is the law of unpredictability. Unless you write your own competitor's plan, you can't predict the future. Implicit in most marketing plans is an assumption about the future. Yet marketing plans based on what will happen in the future are usually wrong. With hundreds of competitors and the army of meteorologists, no one can predict the weather 3 days in advance. So how do you expect to predict your market 3 years in advance? IBM developed a massive marketing plan to hook up all PCs to its mainframe. The company called it Office Vision, yet the plan is dead in the waters thanks to the development of Sun Microsystems, Microsoft, and other companies. You might say that Office Vision foresaw everything but the competition. Failure to forecast competitive reactions is a major reason for marketing failures. When Pickett was asked to which Confederate leader was responsible for the defeat of Gettysburg, he replied, "I've always thought the Yankees had something to do with it." So hold on 1 second. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, but I am a family man, so I do get calls. Sorry about that. Um, so yet there are those who would say that America's big problem is the lack of the long view that Americans can manage. The lack of the long view that American management is too short term in its thinking. Won't eliminating long term plans make things even worse? On the surface, those concerns are real, but it's important to understand that what is meant by long term versus short term. Most corporate American problems are not related to short term marketing thinking. The problem is short term financial thinking. Most companies live from quarterly report to quarterly report, and that's a receipt for problems. I mean, a recipe. I'm sorry, a recipe. Companies that live by the numbers die by the numbers. Like when I get a phone call, it throw my rhythm totally off, and it's a phone call I can't avoid, and I have to answer the phone like, yes, dear, and then I got to get back into YouTube mode. Um, so yeah, a company that lives by the numbers die by the numbers. Harold Geenan of ITT fame is one man in recent times who best exemplified this approach. He would wheel and deal and beat up his managers for ever increasing earnings. And Janine efforts result in a house of cards that eventually fell apart. Today, ITT is a shell of what it once was: good accounting, bad marketing. And then they go into General Motors and other people and show other examples. Let me skip down a little further. Mahagan couldn't own the word for home delivery until he had enough franchises to afford national advertising. He accomplished both objectives, and today Domino's is a $2.65 billion company with a 40% share in the home delivery business. And that was before Uber Eats and all of that other stuff. And but Mohagan did it all with a complex 10-year plan. See what I'm saying? And that's the point we're trying to make. So what you can do, or so what can you do? All right, you can best cope with unpredictability. While you can't predict the future, you can get a handle on trends, which is a way to take advantage of the change. So, one example of a trend is America's growing orientation towards good health. The trend has opened the door for a number of new products like good eggs. That's not in the book, but I'm saying, especially healthier food. The recent runaway success of Healthy Choice frozen entrees is a clear example of a product that took advantage of this long-term trend. So I'm going to skip over to the next law of marketing. Law number 18, the law of success. Success often leads to arrogance, and arrogance leads to failure. Ego is the enemy of successful marketing. Objectively is what's needed. When people become successful, they tend to become less objective. So objectivity is what's needed, not the ego. Okay. Um, they often substitute their own judgment for what the market wants. Now, Donald Trump and Robert Maxwell are two examples of people blinded by early success and unattended um, early success and untainted by humility. And when you're blind, it is indeed hard to focus. All right. Mr. Trump's strategy was to put his name on everything. Committing, this is before he was president, okay? Committing the cardinal sin of line extension. Denial seems to go hand in hand with big ego. When we first met the Donald, his opening remarks was about how people accuse him of having a big ego. He went on to state that it was totally untrue and he did not have a big ego. All the while, it was hard to avoid noticing a 3-foot high brass T sitting on the floor next to his desk. So much for the sermon. What's up, Observer? Uh, success is often a fatal element behind the rash of line extension. When a brand is successful, the company assumes the name is the primary reason for the brand's success. So they probably look for other products to plaster the name on. Yeah, you can look at the rock group Kiss. Now, this is not in the book. This is my own observation. The rock group Kiss put their name on everything for extra money, on anything and everything. There's probably Kiss blenders out there and Kiss lawnmowers, I bet you. Actually, it's the opposite. The name didn't make the brand famous, although a bad name might keep a brand from becoming famous. The brand got famous because you made the right marketing moves. In other words, the steps you took were in tune with the fundamentals laws of marketing. You got to get into the mind first. You narrowed the advocated atom bombing, the heated garages, the chauffeur-driven limousines, the executive dining rooms, chauffeur-driven limousines for a company trying to sell cars. So if you're a busy CEO, how do you gather objective information on what is really happening? How do you get around the propensity of middle management to tell you what they think you want to hear? And how do you get the bad news as well as the good news? So one possibility is to go in disguise or unannounced, and this is especially useful at the distributor or retail level. In many ways, this is a way to king. It's a way like a king who dresses up as a commoner and mingles with his subject. And the reason is to get a honest opinion of what's happening. So we ain't gonna keep going on that. We're gonna skip to the next one. Oh, I'm glad you're listening. Right on. I need some water, man. I am dehydrated. Cause I'm gonna keep smacking. And I don't want to do that. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay. Number 19, the law of failure. Failure is to be expected and accepted. Too many companies try to fix things rather than drop things. Let's reorganize and save the situation is their way of life. Let's reorganize and save the situation. You know what I'm saying? Admitting a mistake and not doing anything about it is bad for your career. A better strategy is to recognize failure early and cut your losses. American Motors should have abandoned their passenger cars and focused on the Jeep. IBM should have dropped copiers and Xerox machines, and they should have dropped computers years before they finally recognized their mistake. The Japanese seem to be able to admit a mistake early and then make a necessary change. Their consensus management style tends to eliminate the ego. Since a large number of people have a small piece of the big decision, there are no stigmas, and that can be considered a career damaging. In other words, it's a lot easier to live with "we are all wrong" than the devastating "I was wrong." Yeah, man. I usually have a glass of water nearby. I just didn't do it, and I got caught slipping. The egoless approach to a major factor in making the Japanese such the egoless approach is a major factor in making the Japanese such a relentless marketeers. And it's not that they don't make mistakes, but when they do, they admit it, fix them, and just keep it coming. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to skip to the law of 20, the law of hype. Okay? The situation is often the opposite of the way it appears in the press. The law of hype. When IBM was successful, the company said very little. Now throw a lot of press conferences. Oh, I'm sorry. When IBM was successful, the company said very little. Now it throws a lot of press conferences. This is 1993, I think. Is it 1993? Yeah, 1993. When things are going well, a company doesn't need the hype. And when you need the hype, it usually means you're in trouble. Now, that's my logic when it comes to the other stuff too, like music or whatever. If you got tons of videos and you got Ciroc in the video, it means that Ciroc paid for the music video and the artist is not selling and it needs more exposure. It needs people to like the group. The radio plays isn't enough. It needs videos, and they already spent the budget on the production of the album, so they get a liquor company or somebody to sponsor the video, and then it becomes a 3-minute commercial for the liquor, but you think, or I think, it's just a music video. But if you're watching BET and 3 videos in a row have Ciroc in it, that means you just got a 9 minutes worth of Ciroc advertisement, even though you get to listen to your favorite artist. You know what I'm saying? So, young and inexperienced reporters and editors tend to be more impressed by what they read in other publications than by what they gather themselves. Once the hype starts, it often continues on and on. Exactly, observer. So, no soft drink has received more hype than the new Coke. By one estimate, New Coke received more than $1 billion worth of free publicity, and to that, the hundreds of millions of dollars spent to launch the brand. And New Coke should have been the world's most successful product. It didn't happen. Less than 60 days after the launch, Coca-Cola was forced to come back with the original formula, now called Coca-Cola Classic. Today's Classic outsells new about 15-1. You see what I'm saying? No newspaper has received more hype than USA Today at its launch in 1982, where the presidents of the at its launch in 1982, were the President of the United States, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate, Um, Let me reread that. No newspaper has received more hype than USA Today. At its launch in 1982, were the President of the United States, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate. The residue of this potential hype is still so great that most people cannot believe USA Today is a loser. No computer has received more hype than the NEXT computer. Demands for press conferences and credentials was so great that Steve Jobs had to print tickets in advance. And even though the auditorium could hold several thousand of people, all the seats were filled. And Steve Jobs makes television news as well as the cover of many publications. IBM, Ross Perot, and Canon had invested $130 million. And you know what's funny? I'm going to end this here on this law here. But what's funny about this? I don't know if the book is going to mention it, but he never had to prove that computer worked. And you can see that in the movie based on his daughter's perspective. Steve Jobs did not have to prove that the computer worked, and he got everybody's attention because this is after he left. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is after he left Apple. He came up with his own computer, and he hyped it up so strong that he got these investors' attentions, and Apple, he had to go back to Apple. They didn't want him as competition, so they let him back at Apple, and then whatever they had going on, he shut it down because the other guy, his friend, he wanted to be more like Microsoft, and he wanted to be able to let third parties be able to connect to the devices. And I was pissed off because I used to have an Apple Newton, and I thought I was the shit with this Apple Newton. And they used to have Apple Newton stores before the Apple stores today. But the apps average was $49, and you still need a PC to load the apps onto the device. And today, an app is what? It starts at 99 cents, which is crazy. So anyway, will NEXT be a winner? Of course not. Where is the opening? And NEXT next is the first in new categories of what? History is filled with marketing failures that were successful in the press. The Tucker 48, the U.S. Football League, the video text, the automated factory, the personal helicopter, the manufactured home, the picture phone, polyester suits. The essence of hype was not just the new product was going on, what it was going to be. The essence of the hype was not just that the new product was going to be successful. The essence of the hype was that existing products would now be obsolete. Now that's an interesting paragraph because even though iPhone has video chat and stuff, people didn't want the video phone in their house, even though it existed before the iPhone. And now that people have the video chat option, they barely use it. In the same way you could send a text message, you could send an audio message or a video message instead of a text message. But how many people do that? You know what I'm saying? So polyester was going to make wool obsolete. Like video text was going to make newspapers obsolete. But they didn't. This was before the iPad and tablets, though. And the personal helicopter was going to make the roads and highways obsolete. And the Tucker 48, with its Cyclops eye headlight, was going to revolutionize the way Detroit makes automobiles. Only 51 were ever built. Yep, people hardly do that. So, moving on. Moving on. We almost done, ladies and gentlemen. We only got 2 laws left. The law of acceleration. Successful programs are not built on fads, they're built on trends. A fad is a wave in the ocean, and a trend is the whole tide. The whole tide. A fad gets a lot of hype. Not a fad. A fad gets a lot of hype, and a trend gets very little. So, like a wave, a fad is very visible, but it goes up and down in a big hurry. Like the tide, a trend is almost invisible, but is very powerful over the long term. A fad is a short-term phenomenon that might be profitable, but a fad doesn't last long enough to do a company much good. Furthermore, a company often tends to gear up as if a fad were a trend. As a result, the company is often stuck with a lot of staff and expensive manufacturing facilities and distribution networks. So a fashion, on the other hand, is a fad that repeats itself. And and examples are short skirts and double-breasted suits for men, and Haley Comet is a fashion because it comes back every 75 years. So anyway, when the fad disappears, the company often goes into deep financial shock. And what happens to Atari is typical in this respect. And look at Coleco Industry and the Cabbage Patch Kids and those homely dolls that hit the market in 1983. As it started to take off, Coleco's strategy was to milk the kids for all it's worth. And we're going to move over to the last one. What's up, C. Wilson? Oh, right on. Well, you caught me at one of my conservative moments, but we're gonna get into the fun stuff after this. Um, we're going to the last of the 22 immutable laws. I said I was gonna finish all 22 laws of marketing if it killed me. Even if I bored everyone to the floor, I was gonna get this done. That's my dog tripping off the door. Anyway, the 22nd, the last law of immutable, the 22 immutable laws of marketing is the law of resources. Without adequate funding, an idea won't get off the ground. If you have a good idea and you pick up this book with the thought in mind that all you need is a little marketing help, this chapter will throw cold water on that thought. Oh, thank you, Sir Quet. Even the best ideas in the world won't go very far without the money to get it off the ground. Investors, entrepreneurs, and assorted idea generators seem to think all they good ideas need is professional marketing help. Nothing could be further from the truth. Marketing is a game fought in the middle of the prospect. You need money to get into the mind, and you need money to stay in the mind once you get there. So that's why a show like Shark Tank or whatever, which came way after this book, makes a lot of sense. A show like Shark Tank makes a lot of sense. You'll get further with a mediocre idea and $1 million than with a great idea alone. Some entrepreneurs see advertising as the solution to the problem of getting into prospects' mind. Advertising is expensive. It costs $9,000 a minute to fight. It costs $9,000 a minute to fight World War II. It costs $22,000 a minute to fight the Vietnam War. A 1-minute commercial on the NFL Super Bowl will cost you $1.5 million. That was in 1993. All right. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak had a great idea, but it was Mike Markula, 91,000, that put Apple computers on the map. For his money, Markula got 1/3 of Apple. He should have held out for half. Ideas without money are worthless. We are not quite, um, not quite. Ideas, ideas without money are worthless, but not quite. You have to use your idea to find the money, not the marketing help. The marketing can come later. So some entrepreneurs see publicity as a cheap way of getting into the prospects' minds. Free advertising is how they see it. Publicity isn't free. The rule of thumb is 5, 10, 20. A small public relations agency will want $5,000 a month to promote your product. A medium-sized agency wants $10,000 a month, and a big-time agency will want $20,000 a month. Some entrepreneurs see venture capitalists as the solution to their money problems, but only a tiny percent that's at being the funding they need. Only a small amount of them get success by finding money. Some entrepreneurs see corporate America as ready, willing, and financially able to get there off the ground, spring off the get the thing going. But good luck. You'll need it. Very few outside ideas ever accepted by large companies, and your only real hope is finding smaller companies and persuading it of the merits of your idea. Because out here, you could go to there was a company, I can't even think of their name no more, but there was a Sharper Image. You could go to their office with your idea, and if they thought it was good, they would start producing it and selling it in their stores. Sharper Image. In marketing, remember, an idea without money is worthless. Be prepared to give away a lot of funding. In marketing, the rich often get richer because they have the resource to drive their idea. The problem is separating the good ideas from the bad ones and avoiding spending money on too many products and too many programs. And that goes back to the law of focus. So competition is fierce. The giant corporations put a lot of money behind their brands. Procter and Gamble and Philip Morris each spend more than $2 billion a year on advertising, and General Motors spend $1.5 billion a year. And life can be unfair for smaller marketers facing competitors. Consider A&M Pet Products in Houston, Texas. Clumping, cat litter, important breakthroughs. Simple litter box, the new type of litter clumps and the waste into little balls, and which is easy to scoop up, dispose of. There's no need to replace the entire box. That was genius. Then the brand called Scoop Away took off wherever it was introduced, and this quickly got the attention of Golden Cat Corporation as the #1 cat litter brand, Tidy Cat. So recognizing a threatening idea when they see one, Golden Cat introduced their own version of clumping cat litter and called Tidy Scoop. Not only did they jump on the A&M idea, they also borrowed the scoop part of their brand name. However unfair you be, the winner of the cat fight would probably be determined by money. Who has the most money to drive in the idea? What's up, Sunflower? People pay others with a large social media following to advertise them. I peeked in to say hello, good evening everyone, blessing. I will be in the trees, but looking and listening. Right, it takes money to make money. Absolutely. Now, the laws of resources was the last law of the 22 immutable laws of marketing, but Now I want to expand on that. The book is closed. I'm just going to speak from my heart, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to need some more sinister type of sounds. Here we go. Okay, now that being said, right? When it comes to us on YouTube, I saw it early on, even on like VH1 and BET and all this stuff. We advertise for free all the time, and we don't think nothing of it. It goes all the way back to Run DMC wearing Adidas on their posters and stuff. I wanted to buy Adidas because I saw Run DMC wearing them, but Run DMC wasn't being compensated. Run DMC just wanted you to know that they were fresh. And that's the problem in our community. We always want people to assume that we got something going on, and we sacrifice making companies rich, um, just because we want to look like we got it going on. Like we want to show that got good taste. We want to show that we got money. But you helping these companies make money. It's like slavery all over again. Oh, that's an excellent statement. That's why I can't understand how females with no prosperous business, not generating money, are able to captive others and lead others to believe that investing in them, shaking my head, is wise. And Wilson, oh, he's speaking to C. Wilson. Well, look, if you're going to spend a lot of time and energy into making people and hyping yourself up and making people believe that you are a certain type of person, that you live a certain type of way, then why you don't have anything to sell? See, you have to find ways to advertise without people feeling advertised to. You see what I'm saying? Trust me, if you're watching anything on a .com, you're being advertised to, whether you like it or not, whether the person is doing it or not. If somebody has a Facebook show, a YouTube show, a website, or whatever, if the end of their URL says .com, then it's a commercial. If you want to spend every day cussing somebody out and you got this huge audience because you know how to tell people off and nobody can't tell nobody off as well as you, and at the end of the day, they can't buy a t-shirt, or you don't offer any services or anything like that, then I don't know what it's about. Now, if they paying you for your comedy, now that's interesting. If you can do comedy without being seen as a comedian, and people are compensating you for your time and entertaining them, that's genius. You see what I'm saying? But .com is an abbreviation for commercial. That's what the whole word means. .com means commercial, just like .net means network, and .org means organization. There's a lot of dots out there, and they don't just have a name for no reason at all. Every extension has a name for it. It's just a shorter version of the longer word. Well, those are obvious advertising, right? What you're talking about. And I don't know how well that comes across. Like, you being advertised to. Some of those people that get paid, you kind of know you being advertised to. And you have a lot of people that's just into advertisement. They've been groomed, they've been raised to watch commercials, right? But you have a lot of people that hate commercials. The whole reason that they're on the internet instead of watching TV, instead of watching cable, instead of watching satellite is because they hate commercials, period. So how do you still advertise to those people? You have to make them believe that you're not advertising to them. You see? And what we need to understand, unless we're being compensated, we need to stop freely advertising for these other companies. I agree. People naturally ignore advertising when they expect it. That's why people pay others to do it, to do a skit with their product. Well, and she says, I never knew that about .com. And yes, I get that, brother, indeed. See, the best form of advertisement is when you cannot tell it has the biggest impact. Because we always want to what's the word? We want what our neighbor has. So if you think somebody rolls out of bed and does a show and they're wearing a certain piece of jewelry or a certain T-shirt, or you see a picture on the wall or anything, that person could be advertising for a company too. You know what I'm saying? They're just being more nonchalant about it because all they got to do is show the screenshot of the product in their scene. Yeah. Even if they're wearing a pair of glasses. Because look, when you watch a soap opera, there's nothing in that soap opera scene that's not for sale. The couch, the outfits that they're wearing, the car they in when they do the little car scene, any paintings on the wall, lampshade, anything, the wine bottle, all of that's advertising. Now people think they don't see advertising until the commercial come on, and then you might go up and make a sandwich, use the bathroom, call your girlfriend, whatever. So they know that may happen. So while they got you thinking that the commercial is the commercial, no, the commercial is the show because they got your attention the whole time for 9 minutes before they play the commercial. Just like on radio, we think that the commercials in between the songs is the commercial. Well, they pay the stations to play those ads, but the song, that 3.5 minute song, is the commercial. They want you to go buy the record. They want you to go buy the record. And the station knows that people are listening to the commercials because of the record. So the station has to pay the writers of the song money because they're playing their commercial, their record. It's pennies on the dollar, but when you got 22,000 stations playing the same song, those pennies add up. And when you playing it several times a day, every day, those pennies add up. And you get 1 or 2 checks a year, you may be getting $30,000 to $60,000 a year just based on commercial terrestrial airplay. How you doing, Evelyn? Good to get to see you. Yeah, look, when you looking at Erica Kane on General Hospital or whatever, um, yeah, I'm just saying, you whatever show they play on. I used to watch All My Children and General Hospital. When All My Children went off the air, I used to watch General Hospital. And I'm just saying that the suits that they wore, the jewelry, everything is for sale. That's the real advertising. So you as a YouTuber, whatever you're wearing on camera, whatever you're presenting on that screen could be possibly advertising. Yeah, you bought a sick uh uh I don't know, Issey Miyake jacket. You bought you a sick Issey Miyake jacket at this store in San Francisco, and you know nobody got it. So you say, yeah, when I go live next time, I'm gonna look fresh as hell. But now not only you pay Issey Miyake for their product, now you're gonna help them make more money at the end of the year because of you wearing the jacket. You helped them make an extra $30,000 that year because you stood on a Mercedes in your music video. I'll give you another scenario. Um, I'll give you another scenario. Let's say you was LL Cool J at the beginning of your career, and you showed up at your music video shoot, and your manager said, "Yo, I got a surprise for you," and you said, "What's up?" "Yo, you see that Benz over there? We got that for the video, right?" And LL go, "Oh shit, for real? That's gonna be dope. Damn, how'd you hook that up?" "Man, I just hooked it up." Now, what you didn't know is your manager and your lawyer called Mercedes and made some arrangements, and they told Mercedes that the video is gonna be on MTV and blah blah blah, and they know how much it costs to advertise on MTV, and they know let's say it costs let's for the sake of argument, let's say that it cost 250,000 to advertise on MTV at that time. Well, your manager, your lawyer made a deal with Mercedes, and Mercedes said, "Look, just give us 75,000, and we'll put it in the video, right?" And then, so now they don't got 75,000 behind the scenes, and they told you that they had a hookup with the dealership to put it in the video, and then you stand on the car in your video and you look fresh, and your sales is going up and you getting booked for shows, but somebody under the table behind your back made some money and you didn't get a cut, and they may even pay, if let's say they didn't do it that way, they paid somebody else to rent their car, but at the end of the day, Mercedes made an extra 300,000 that year, or an extra 3 million because you stood on the car in the video. And that's my point. Who do I sound like? But I'm gonna tell you how slick LL Cool J is. I'm gonna tell you a story about him. That dude is smarter than most people think. Yep, it is what it is. Even though we always advertising something, even on accident, just by walking around wearing clothes. Of course, that's why they put the names. I don't like names that you can see on the outside when I wear clothes. And he said, my man's cousin bought his wife one, and that was 10K. That is me right there. On my business page, my entire setup is full of advertising a queen who returns advertise me on hers, and it's her very large platform in return. Now, cross advertising is a wonderful thing. and shouting out other people's channels and stuff like that is a great thing. Certain people have played my videos on their channel, and I thought that was the coolest thing because that never happened before. So y'all know the Gap is a big company, right? And Fubu was an up and coming company, and the Gap's offered LL Cool J $30 million to do a commercial for the Gap. So LL Cool J did a freestyle. It was just him in a white room. Just him in a white room, him freestyling. So LL Cool J must have said, well, this money is cool, but how can I take advantage of this opportunity to help my people out? This is going to help them out, but how can I help my people out? So LL Cool J, in his freestyle, he said, for you, by you. For you, by you, which was a nod to Fubu. So the Gap paid LL Cool J for a commercial for the Gap, but they also covered advertising for Fubu because he mentioned their name in the freestyle, and Fubu didn't have to pay a dime. That was genius. And because they didn't know what he was saying, and it's just some black dude rhyming words, it took them years to realize that Fubu benefited from that commercial. Fashion Nova clothes are actually affordable, cheap. Plus, the company gives them to celebrities free because of the advertising. And Fashion Nova uses Korean sweatshops, laborers to make their clothes, I think. Well, let's get into another thing, and then we can wrap it up. That which is in the same lines of what you're saying in the chat room. When you do the Oscars or whatever, right, or the Grammys, let's take the Grammys, right? If you're lucky enough to have a dressing room and you're going to perform at the Grammys, guess what's going to be in your dressing room? It's going to be $80,000 worth of gifts. $80,000 worth of gifts, average. That means earbuds, iPods, tablets, whatever the fuck, shoes, you name it. But if you keep any of those gifts, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. And if it's some kind of wearable gift like Beats headphones or whatever, when you step out into a public area outside of the Grammy, the place where the award show is, and you have no expectation of privacy at that point where you're standing, paparazzi will take a bunch of pictures of you legally and sell those pictures to magazines as paparazzi pictures, and they can post them legally because they're paparazzi pictures, and the paparazzi will also possibly send the pictures to the company of the product that you're wearing too. You see what I'm saying? And the paparazzis make a gang of money off of that. Everybody wins but you. You pay taxes for the gift, and you think that you're lucky because you're in the dressing room, you're the star, you're backstage, but you're going to pay taxes. The government going to get their cut, the paparazzi going to get their cuts, and then there's the magazine. People are going to watch the magazines and see the ads and stuff because the magazines benefit from your image for free. Because beforehand, you have to either buy an ad or you have to pay a publicist to get your image and information into the magazine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's a guesstimation, Observer. That's a guesstimation. Now, another thing that goes on backstage is a couple of times they had these diva concerts, like with Patti LaBelle and these people, the concerts of the divas, right? Well, America is such a commercialized industry that, yeah, if you're lucky enough to sit in the audience and you see it on TV, you're very entertained and it's a great show. But behind the scenes, backstage, they got vendors, right? They got vendors. So you might show up and go, damn, I don't have an outfit. So backstage, you could rent an outfit. Um, there was one artist in the Diva concert, I don't know which one it was. They rented a bunch of jewelry to wear on stage. So they had to go to the jewelry vendor backstage. So by the time they come out on stage, they just look like $1,000,000. But there was one jewelry vendor backstage. I don't know if it was Patty or whoever who rented the jewelry, but they had 12 armed guards there to protect the jewelry backstage. The only people backstage is artists and managers and musicians. They're not even protecting the jewelry from the general public. So I've been backstage on many events and many things, and it just surprised me of the bullshit that goes on backstage and how lonely and disconnected the backstage is. Sometimes, one time I saw Carl Thomas. He was in a hotel van with a girl from Bad Boys, sitting in the van waiting for his turn to come on. He was the opening act, and the rest of them had dressing rooms. But the venue is a nice venue, but it's so old that the dressing rooms is only the size of 3 phone booths. So if you got a band like Angie Stone or whatever, you guys are all hotboxing up in that motherfucker. So even though Carl Thomas looked like he wasn't that important and he didn't have it going on like the other artists, he was in a comfortable hotel van with air conditioning, sitting behind the stage door. All he had to do was walk through the door and walk on stage and grab the mic. And he didn't have to pay a band because his music was on ADAT. He just had to pay background singers. Even though the DAT machine broke, his manager cussed out the people and got them to fix it. And he went a cappella, and the audience thought all of that stuff was on purpose, and he gave a great show. So when I say behind the scenes, it's a whole nother thing. Trust me, it's a whole nother thing. Oh, right on. Right on. The church and welcome, Big Cled and everybody. I was about to wrap it up. I just want to give you a little insight on marketing. I left out 8 other laws, so I added the last 8 laws, and I wanted to freestyle the rest of the information from my own personal observation and experience. And if you carry yourself a certain way, dress a certain way, and you get a little bit of press in your town, when you walk near the backstage door, man, and don't say nothing, the guard will just open the rope and let you in. It's your posture. It's your it's not your ego. It's your posture. That open doors for you. And if you didn't catch this show, I would love for you to catch the playback. And it's good to see people in here. And I hope I didn't bore you to death. But I'll be back later, and we'll have some real fun when I come back. So I just want to say peace and hair grease.
Back out in the parking lot, buy a Cherokee and a green drop top, and I Don't stop until I squirt, jeans, skirt, butt naked, it all work.